Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are joining us from, which parts of the world you're joining us. And it's good to have you here with us again today. We are continuing on a series very well made in Nigeria. And trust me, today this one is a major pleasure because the young lady you see, well, I can call her a young lady because I'm much older than her. The young lady you see here was handed over to me by her dad, who was somebody I really, really loved. I had to put that as a background because I've seen her grow. I've seen her grow, and it's been amazing to me. It's taken us time to get here because she's been busy doing other things. So I had to wait until she was ready for us on Unplugged. And here she is, Itoro Ugorji. It's such a pleasure to have you with us today. Thank you very much.
I'm super excited to be here. Thank you so much for having me. Thank you.
I'd also like to say that Itoro is joining us from a different time zone. And I know if she didn't love me that much, she wouldn't have woken up that early for me. So, Itoro, thank you. Thank you so much.
You're welcome. You're most welcome. You know, you hold a very special place in my heart. You know that already.
I know, and you too. I know, but I won't take it for granted. I know. So I'll read a little bit of your bio. Your bio is really intense, and I'll say anybody who wants to know more, please just check on our link on our IG, uh, IG page. IG page, yeah. Itoro Ugorji is a seasoned early years practitioner, and she's going to tell us what that means. And she's the team lead of the Baby Lounge. The Baby Lounge is a brand which provides innovative and practical childcare solutions to address the pain points of parents of infants, toddlers, and young children. She's a banker who turned to be a childcare practitioner, and she constantly deploys her childcare experiences and local and international exposure to promote the global exchange of ideas on the delivery of quality services for young children in diverse settings. This only captures a very little bit of what Itoro does. But Itoro, before we start, okay, I think you've gone off a little bit. Okay, you're back. Before we start, I'd like to ask you something because almost all my guests start off doing one thing and then diverge to another thing. Why do you think that is so?
Um, it's a very peculiar environment, you know, and terrain that we operate in. And when I say peculiar, my reference would be the Nigerian environment. It's really a harsh one. It is not for the faint-hearted at all. You know, so you really have to develop, you know, a certain level of resilience and grit. And you know, there are more, you're constantly swimming against the tide. So there are more days where you're discouraged. So if you are not, um, and I say this with every sense of, you know, respect to, you know, the entrepreneurs out there, but if you are not enough, right? If you're not determined to, you know, go ahead despite the odds, honestly, you could very easily fall off the bandwagon. And there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. You know, so there's so many people who have fallen. I've fallen off a couple of times. You know, there were the two instances I returned to paid employment. You know, so it's I think it is the harshness of the environment. It's and most of us are operating in oversaturated you know, markets. There's hardly any market that is not saturated. So it is all, in a bid to, carve that niche for yourself. And then when you don't see the results coming in as fast as you expect, you just think, go for other options. It takes a whole lot of discipline. It's much more than passion. When you're actually in the game, you realize that it is more of discipline that you require than passion, really.
So passion is good, but it's not quite enough.
No, it is not enough. It is not enough. I mean, you need that passion to bring in. You're in business to make profit, right? So you need that passion to bring in profit. And then, when you have stayed the course for a while, and then the income is not coming in, not just the income, I mean, the profit is not coming in, because you could, be doing a whole lot of activity, you could be generating, a high level of revenue. But when you look very closely at your books, the numbers are just not adding up. So much revenue, very little profit. And then you realize that you are just working. It's like a lot of motion, but you're not moving from where you are. So you really need a lot more than passion. I say add to your passion discipline, resilience, grit, and staying power.
Okay. Yesterday, no, 2 days ago, I had a conversation with a good friend of mine, and she's going through all these things that we go through. And I asked her why she doesn't why don't banks give money. We had this conversation about why don't banks support SMEs, and she said, do SMEs do the needful? Do they do the groundwork? Do they have their papers in place? Do they have the accounting in place? And I think maybe in addition to all you've talked about, grades, etc., perhaps from the get-go or shortly after the get-go, we need to learn what are the disciplines, because you see, an SME is just a smaller, to me, it's just a smaller version of a corporate, right? So you need to know that you need to pay your taxes. You need to know that you need to your money is not your own. So don't the office money is not your own money. You need to have your papers in place, your documents in place. So isn't that something that we also need to learn?
So that's
Before
the
we just
discipline
jump
that
off
we are
and say,
talking about. Yes. That's the discipline we are talking about right there. So let's break down this discipline. It's about being responsible enough to do the right thing. So I say very often that, for growing businesses, I
aha,
choose to call them, growing businesses rather than small businesses, right? Now, it is not, structure is not synonymous with size. You can be structured even as a one-man team. So it's about putting those processes in place. Okay. So it's about, paying your taxes and getting one. And you see, it doesn't necessarily have to be expensive. You don't have to get an auditor from day one, but you could get a bookkeeper. So those options are available. And it's interesting to know that, so you have, accountants for SMEs, you have lawyers for SMEs who are ready to give those advisory services at that level. So, cost is no longer an excuse. I mean, there are resources also online that you could go and school yourself in. But whatever you do, okay, get a structure. I mean, it's not fair, to say that the financial institutions are not supporting you when you haven't done. They need to do their own due diligence too. And the truth of the matter is,
absolutely.
they want you to get your acts together when you are ready. You need to position yourself in such a way that those people will take you seriously. It's extremely important.
I agree totally. I hope you're going to come back. This okay, yeah, you're back. You're back.
Yes, I am, but I see myself buffering a bit.
Yes, you yes, yes. But I'm sure we're going to go. We're going to go through because we're getting a lot of engagements already. And I let me tell you how I have been seeing things from where I sit. Someone thinks, okay, I can't, I'm tired of working in an office. Let me follow my passion. But there's a back end to that passion. And we start off like a lot of mom and pop stores. We start off with me and my husband, me and my in laws, me and my siblings, PLC, right? But we don't bring in people who will give us the knowledge that we need. And we feel vulnerable, to open up and say, oh, I don't know. Because for me, I would rather help an SME, somebody who's starting off a smaller business, by saying, hey, listen, you need to go to maybe Faith Foundation. Can I pay for you to go to Faith Foundation and learn what the basics are? And when you make your money, you go to Lagos Business School. And there's all kinds of certification courses online that people can go to and learn at least structure and realize at one point. I had a conversation with another person where I said, you're going to realize at one point putting your family members in that business is going to cost you because it's going to just spoil a lot of relationships you have. You have to ask them, what if this happens? What if, I mean, especially if it's a spouse, a husband, and you are the one that came with the idea, and you say, listen, I am going to be the managing director of this thing. And what if it goes big as we plan that it to go big? How are you going to feel about it? It's an uncomfortable conversation. I mean, what do you think?
No, I mean, those uncomfortable conversations have to be had. The truth of the matter is, so there's absolutely nothing wrong with bringing on board, a family member who is qualified. That's the clause. So qualified, whether by way of having, the credentials, or the certifications to work as an employee, or also qualified, in the area of experience to get on your board. What value is that person bringing on? So my husband is on my board. When we're having board meetings, you cannot, in fact, you would be shocked that we're spouses. He brings some incredible expertise. Incredible. I dare say that he's one of the reasons that we have in place corporate governance. He's worked with a multinational, so he brings on that experience, and we absolutely, respect, one another. We have, other another board member, right? These are other people's. When you begin to take other people's phones, whether it is your spouse's phone, you need to sit up and be responsible. You need to be accountable. That's why I say to small businesses, if you're not investor ready, it's added work and added responsibility. Once you take on another person's phone, you cannot say that you can't schedule board meetings. You cannot say that, reports will be late. Okay, it even makes you to be better structured. You can't. You cannot give an excuse that because you are, caught up with operations, right? You couldn't meet certain timelines. No, you can't do that anymore. So it's even, if you want people who would, it's very uncomfortable and it could be very inconvenient. So I say, if you're not ready, don't even start it, because then you begin to make these investors and these board members or advisory members look like sharks. when they begin to make a demand, on you to just do the right thing. So, so please, if that family, and honestly, it's not an emotional decision. I mean, in business, we take very hard decisions. If that family member is not qualified, right? It is better to spare yourself the heartache down the road. Okay, and for the good of the organization and your vision, just find someone else. I guess that's the reason why a lot of people say, don't do business with family members, because, it's in Nigerian parlance, it's see finish.
Okay, Tori, I didn't hear the last thing you said.
Okay, I said don't take on that family member if he or she doesn't bring on board value.
Okay. Okay. Yeah. You make an excellent point. You make an excellent point. I think the most important thing to know is that a family business, at the end of it, is the word business. Small business at the end of it is the word
Absolutely.
business. Not for profit business at the end of it is business. Creative business at the end, business. So it has to be run as a business. And truly, I agree with you, and I know it couldn't be anything different than your husband being who I know he is, asking you the hard questions because you have to succeed. You have to succeed. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
I
You
tell you
really
for
have to
free,
succeed.
he was not
Yes.
comfortable initially. He wasn't. He was like, oh my goodness, he's bothering me, but this is my spouse, you know. What? Why are you so
Yes.
harsh? But it wasn't about him being harsh, it was about it was about him, being responsible and saying to me, you
Yes.
need to be accountable. You need to be accountable. You need to be responsible. This is not a one-man show. You have shareholders. Even if you don't have shareholders now, you're looking to have shareholders. You're looking to scale this
Absolutely.
up. You're looking to position yourself, for investors, in the future. So you need to get your act together, now. Corporate governance, extremely important, and it is just so lacking with growing businesses. We are waiting to be that multinational before we begin to put these things in place. No. Again, I say structure is not synonymous with size.
I'm sure the growing business owners here are listening very well and intently because um, the theme that we're working on. I thought it would end this October, but I feel we need to dig in much more. And so this very well made in Nigeria theme is going to continue into November. And it's all about how do we do things right? We're moving away from this manage it like that. You can start off and know, listen, I need XYZ in place, but can you ask people what do I need in place? Get the information right, and then as you get it right, you put it in place, and then you're ready to take, how do I call it, ask questions, be responsible, because we are not going to grow unless we let other people in.
Absolutely. Yes.
So tell us, how did you
Absolutely.
grow? How did you grow?
I grew first by deciding that I wanted to grow. it was first, a mental decision. I needed to first decide, and then, now go after or do what I needed to do to grow. Now, so they say growth is a process, and it really is a process. Growth is in, so many dimensions, but I think that we focus more on the aspect of growth that has to do with increase in money or increase in inflow or revenue. It's not necessarily that. Okay, that is, the revenue and the income is a result of, other aspects of growth. Okay, so it was also first being consistent in doing the right thing. I had to keep doing, what was right, and stay at it before, I saw that growth. So for a very long time, we stayed in an empty facility, right? And it was very depressing, to say the least. Now I had entered into a market that was saturated. There were crashes everywhere. That people who said there were crashes, there were crashes everywhere. And I had to decide. And then it was also a capital intensive, line of business. So when people think of that, you need to acquire resources, you need to acquire assets, you need to, there was no real option of anything virtual, right? So now, when we saw that, we didn't have those funds, it actually pushed us to be creative, to come up with solutions. So there was a critical question that I asked myself. If it was possible to run a virtual creche, I will. And, and that was what triggered, those innovative solutions that we came up with. So the office creche, for example, I thought to myself, okay, so what can I run? I didn't want to go outside the childcare space. So I kept looking within the childcare space. What kind of solutions could I offer, right, that didn't come with those huge overheads, those costs? And the office creche solution was one. And, the office creche was basically, saying to the corporates, give me a space within your office, right? I would I would recommend furniture and fittings, and the assets will be yours. And then I would bring on my expertise and the team to run, the childcare facility. Now, I had to show them the value for them, so I said to them, now the advantage of you acquiring the assets or the assets being yours is that if you're not happy with my service, right, you can get rid of me and just get on another service provider, and you would not need to go through, I would not have to be logging my assets away and then you have an empty space. Absolutely. Right? There would be a smooth transfer. And they absolutely bought it. And that was how we started, because we needed to generate, income to be able to pay for, a good space. Now, when we got that space, it also took a while. And then, interestingly, we got onto a space where we didn't have a signage. And it was for security reasons. Because we're located on a high street, we decided that, we did not want anybody who did not have business coming to us knowing that we're there. Because, we had young kids and there are all sorts of security issues, in the environment where we live in. So for us, it was better to be discreet. So we chose, having the safety of our children over and above, profit, at least immediate profit. So reason why we needed to, so I often say to people that if it wasn't for business, I wouldn't even be on social media. You know me,
I
I'm an
know.
extremely I'm extremely private person, married to an even more private person. So, but I have seen what social media has done for my business. So I say I'm on the streets of social media, just act responsibly. You really don't have to, you don't have to be a nuisance to, push your business. I mean, it's how you choose to conduct yourself. I dare say 85% of our clientele come from social media. Our service is that of trust. Moms sign up before I get to meet them. It's really interesting, I walk into the facility and a mom has been using the service for a month and I'm just meeting her physically for the first time. I've spoken to her over the phone. She signed up. We have a number of those kind of moms, right? So over time, we had to build that trust. And
That's what I was
when
going
we
to talk to
say
you about.
building, yes,
Because you see, to drop off your children, you see, for me, I don't see you as just giving childcare services, solutions. I see you as making it possible for parents, especially mothers, to reach the peak of their professional lives, to excel in whatever they do. Because you take, I don't, when I call it weight, it's not weight because children are not a burden, but at a point in time, you need to focus on work and then come back and pick up your loved one. So you are making it possible for children, for women especially. I know there are men who are very involved in their children's lives as well, but women especially. And I also suspect that some of them come to you very young, the babies.
absolutely. So you just
So how do you trust?
articulated.
How do they trust you just meeting you on social media? That is the point I wanted to ask. How do they trust you?
One day I'll sit down and I would ask those moms. But I think I have actually asked them. So even sometimes without even asking them, they say to me, I don't even know why. I just feel comfortable. I think it has a whole lot to do with the narrative that you put out there. So people go, it's sort of like the ambience of a shop. So you go into a store and there's just this warmth. And you just feel, you know, whether it's the aesthetics, whether it is the staff you meet, but there's just the sense of comfort that you get. And that's what we try to create or across our different platforms and touch points. So you go on our social media page, for example. I want you going away with a certain feeling. I want you going away, thinking, oh, I can trust this woman. So let me also say at this point that for a very long time, I didn't show my face on our social media page. But then I realized that I needed to show my face because it would give moms more comfort, to know this is the person I'm entrusting my child to. One of the reasons why I also share personal stories, right? So those are also things that give moms, comfort. So I have a number of moms who have said to me, and I mean, some of them have actually written that, by way of feedback to say it is because you exist, because your service exists. That is why I've been able to hold on to my job. So I have had moms who say to me, I was at the verge of exiting. I was at the verge of, resigning. Also, one of the reasons. So, we say you mentioned that we say we're not just a creche, we're a support system to, moms and their families. So we take these children. That's also one of the reasons, why we structure our business the way we structure it. So we have, the infant room where we take on the babies from 2 months. So you have parents who need to return after maternity leave. So, we take on those babies, and then we also have designed the service to support those who choose to do exclusive breastfeeding. So we have, a lactation room where moms can come in from work during their lunch break, sit and express or breastfeed. So we have a number of those moms who come in and they don't even want to see the babies. They just sit in the lactation room and sleep because they're exhausted. And then we also have our services. Our hours of operation is also one of the ways we support these moms. So we run the service from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. so that moms who have to clock in early, can drop off their kids. And then those who work late, would not need to pay late pickup fee. You only start paying late pickup fee after 7. So we have those extended hours are full. So for the breastfeeding moms, we have a freezer compartment where we put the breast milk that are either in pouches or bottles, with the children's names legibly, labeled, the children's names, date and time of expression. So we do, last in, first out.
Okay.
So we see all of those, yes. And then, we also, we design the service to really meet a need and solve a problem. So we have, the reports, detailed reports, daily reports. So every day you get a report at the end of each day. It has, the child's feeding routines, what they ate, how much they ate, right? Diaper changes for the babies, the number of times they were changed, and we indicate whether it was a bowel movement or whether it was just wet. We also have highlights of the children's, play and learning activities. Then we track the children's milestones. Because those children spend so many hours with us, right? We are privileged to see a lot of the first, and we see milestones. So we see the first crawl, we see the first step. We do short videos and send to the parents. Yes,
I want to talk about that because I was traveling when my daughter lost her first tooth, her first baby tooth, and it broke my heart. It just broke my heart. Like, my goodness, I wasn't there. I saw her crawl, I saw her start to walk, But when she lost that first tooth, it's, there's nothing logical in having a child. There's really nothing logical. You say, okay, it's a tooth, she's going to lose another one, but how dare she lose a tooth when I'm not there?
Absolutely. So we really need to we want to take out this mom guilt. We don't want moms feeling, adding to what they already carry, because they're grappling with so much, especially those, even if you're not, so we say all moms are working moms. So even if you're not in paid employment, you're running your business or you stay at home mom, you're a working mom. You're juggling these responsibilities. And then we also say that it still takes a village to raise a child. The villagers are just different. So we are one of those villagers, that still choose to support, moms of this journey. So what we try to do with those reports is, to ensure that even though you're not there, you're still there. So these reports are so you don't completely miss out on your child's day. So these reports are accompanied by pictures and videos. So you're sitting in your office in the course of the day. So we first send the picture update. The picture updates typically go between 10 and 12 noon. So you're sitting in your office and this picture pops up in your phone, right? In the course of your day, of your little one, either in an activity or sleeping. It just totally makes your day. We have parents who say that when I'm having a bad day, I know that the baby loud is going to send me a picture. I almost use that. It's just, the very least that we can do. And so at this point, I know that they've probably heard it so many times, entrepreneurs to say, you need to be solving a problem. Find the problem
Absolutely.
that you're solving and then hype it. Focus on that solution, and you'll be amazed at what other solutions will come out of this. So we also have the event creche, because we realize that a lot of moms do not go for events because of childcare issues. So that's when the idea of the pop-up creche. So we do not, the moms do not pay for the service. We work with the organizers or the event owners to
Okay,
say,
I
if you want
see.
to drive attendance to your, and if you want to be seen as, being family friendly, this is, you should have this for moms to use. So we set up, after doing a risk assessment of the space, right? We set up, a creche. So it's a mobile creche, depending on the ages of the children that the event owners have decided to cater to. So you have a sleep area, you have the activity area, you have high chairs, you have a nursing nook for moms who want to come and breastfeed right at the event. So we have also the in-home child minding. That was also to solve a problem. So you have moms who need emergency childcare, so they don't keep nannies, right? Or they need childcare for 1 or 2 hours. They're going for a party, something comes up, their house help runs out on them. They just need childcare for a couple of hours. I cannot even begin to tell you how that in-home child minding has exploded. And there are no real overheads because we just send care. So the in-home child minding is a stopgap emergency childcare solution.
Childcare.
So it's an hourly or daily pay as you go. So I need childcare for 2 hours. So we send you a childminder, right? And at the end of that service, you also get a report. And what we have also done to give parents comfort is, once you book that service, a message is sent to you, to say that this person has been scheduled to work with you, and this is the security code. Ask this person that would resume at your home for that security code and match it with the security code that you get. So those are things that do not necessarily cost money, but are thoughtful.
You are very right. Our first guest this year was Lulu Akinwumi of Prima Garnet, and he said that a lot of growing businesses, and it's stuck in my brain, is that a lot of growing businesses think to get bigger is a problem, but the problem is that we don't do a whole lot of thinking. We're thinking about a whole lot of money, but we need to really focus on a whole lot of thinking. Look inward and say, what else can we do? And one of these things you've come up with is it's what is going to give parents comfort that, hey, security code match. And I believe that by now they would know that you have done your security checks and run scenarios to say, what if this happens? What do we do? Because you have to plan for what if you have to plan for the best and the worst case scenarios, you know.
Very,
But
very true. So we run a business that is so rife with risk. We just pray for the risk not to crystallize. It's an ultra sensitive business. So one of the things that we also struggled with, when we're getting this business off the ground, and honestly, it took a whole lot, was the value of the business. Now, we had a lot of moms comparing us with their nannies, right? So they say to you, why would I pay you so much? This is how much I pay my nanny. And I'm telling you, it was the burden was on me to show you the value that I give you over and above your nanny, with all due respect to your nannies and to the value that nannies give, right? Ours is not a nanny service. So we also have this byline that says, much more than nanny care. Okay, so I will give you a typical example. You need to be educated to work with these children. Now we have curriculum, we have lesson plans, we write this report. So the care assistants are the ones who write the reports, right? And so we also have a report called the milestone checklist that is given to children at when they turn certain ages. So 3 months, 6 months, 18 months. So the report basically highlights in different areas, social, emotional, cognitive, physical development, different development domains, what this child should be achieving or should have achieved at those ages. So that check boxes, right? So you find out that there's certain some of these check boxes we have to indicate work in progress. Does not necessarily mean it's a red flag. It just means we should keep our eyes on it, right? I can tell you that going through and tracking this development, we've been able to identify developmental delays. So we are not medical practitioners, but we are concerned educators. So we would say to the parents, give you this report and advise you to see your pediatrician, right? And have this discussion. We have identified children on the spectrum, right? We don't do special needs, but we've identified children on the spectrum. We've identified children who had tongue ties, and their parents didn't know. Okay, so this is what your nanny would not be able to do for you. So, like I said, instead of whining about people not paying us, I remember earlier on when we started, those days when I would come back, the facility was empty for months, running into a year. I would come back really dejected. My poor husband was the sounding board. And I would say to him, I am tired. See this beautiful setup. People would come in. It's not as if, and I was driving traffic on social media. So it's not as if people would not come in. So they would come in and they would say, oh, fantastic setup.
Beautiful.
But it's so expensive. And then, let me even say this. I would now be looking at the people who say so expensive, and I'll see a Hermes bag.
And you're looking at their
I
bags.
would see a Louis Vuitton bag. And I'm thinking, okay, we have our priorities mixed up here. And my husband would say it's good we are laughing because they were hot tears, like they say, premium tears. My husband would say to me, you did your projections, right? Go and look at those financials again. And I would go back and I would see that, the margins were small because I wanted to grow, and so that's also another reason you have to be prepared. You can't just hit. What would it take to do cash flow projections? Excel. So over 3 years, this is what in month 1, this is what I think I should be making. This is what I want to be making. And then you compare your projected with your actual. So month 1, I said I was going to make 100,000, but I actually made 0. So that variance, what are we going to do about the variance? So he would tell me, and I will go back and I will check. He says, do not reduce your price, your rates. Those who know your value would come. I would never forget those words. I mean, he is an amazing support system. Amazing. And I'm thankful, to have him, right? Now, that was one of the things that actually kept me checked. So I would look at those financials and I would say, and it was important that, I didn't price myself out of the market. So I also knew what was going on around. I knew what other providers were, charging. But I also had to look at my own cost profile. Okay, it was important that I was making, some profit, no matter how little. So yes, there were days like that. I look back and I'm like, so I hear people say to me, when I attend some conferences and they ask the prices and they're like, your 1 month fee is our 3-term fee. And I said, okay, well, my overheads, I'm not sure you carry the kind of overheads that I do. And I have parents, and I am proud to say that, some of our centers are maxed out. We're looking to move to a bigger, a bigger space, right?
I'm so happy
Is
to
there a
hear that.
need?
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Is there a need? There's an absolute need. Now, in the coming months, right, there will be a surge in the in-home child minding service. The in-home child minding I described to you. And the reasons are
Yes.
very simple. What we have noticed is that a lot of and the in-home child minding and the events creche. So there are events coming up towards the end of the year. We already
End of the
have
year.
started having bookings for those events. Then the in-home child minding, what we notice is, again, another feature that we have in place is open all year round. We don't go on term breaks. Again, that is to address the need. Moms don't go on term break. So why should we go on term breaks? So we're only closed on public holiday. So we find out that during the holidays, especially the Christmas holidays, we are fuller. There's also a higher demand for the in-home child minding because a lot of nannies are going away.
Yeah. For their
Children
own time off.
children from other schools are on midterm breaks, on Christmas breaks. Then we also notice another interesting little market, and that market is people coming from out of town.
Okay.
Yes. So people come from out of town, people come from the diaspora, people come from within into Lagos for one thing or the other, and they want short-term childcare. So the in-home child minding addresses that. We also have a service called the hotel babysitting that addresses that need. So people come from out of town for work and they're in hotels and they want you to provide childcare in the hotel. So we send child runners if you don't want to come to the creche. So that's the hotel babysitting.
But would you be
We are
working with the hotel, or would you be working
so we
with
currently work
the
with
family?
individual. Yes, because we had also attempted, we are hoping that the hotels would see that value too, and also understand that it's also value, it also affects their bottom line. Because if you have that service in place, you would have more people, I'm sure, I mean, in the other countries of the world where before people, with young children book a hotel, they would check. So it's a deal breaker for some people. So if you have that service, a mom with young children would choose your
Yeah.
hotel service over and above other hotel services. So again, we are hoping that we're having talks with hotels, to so that they see, it's like I said, it's still a relatively new service what we provide. I know what it took for us to even break into the office creches. You would think that the office creche service should be low-hanging fruits, right? Employers should see that as one of those value adding employee, retention,
Strategies. Yeah.
strategies. Yes, because I mean, a mom who, for the organizations that we have set up creches, because okay, so we have the setup and we have the management. So we could set up for you and not manage, but most of them we set up and we manage. So management is, the day-to-day running. It has been an absolute game changer. Absolute. So
I
you
can
have
only
your child
imagine.
in close proximity to you. You can stroll in to check on them. Parents have had horrid stories, about childcare. I had a mom who said to me that, um, once she had to, and she works for a multinational, that once she had to, drive to work with her infant, who was about 9 months, with her younger child, who was about 5 or 6, and she had both of them in the car. She put her baby in the car seat, and she parked close to a window of her office, so that she could keep an eye. And then she told the 5-year-old, when your sister cries, just take this bottle and put. It sounds bizarre, but you see, that's why I say
Breaks
to
my
people,
heart.
like, yes, it really does. That's why I say to people, our realities are different. Okay, do not shame a mom who uses a creche. Choose a childcare solution that works for you. If nanny, care works for you, fantastic. Some people have had terrible experiences with nannies, and they would never, ever
They're
leave their
scarred for
children at home
life.
with their nanny. Even if,
Yeah.
the scan, exactly. Some people have had very terrible experiences with creches too, which is why they ask for remote access, right? We don't give remote access. And I say, the service we provide is a service of trust. I don't give you remote access because we found it very disruptive. So if you want to, a playback, we have CCTV in every area that, a child is, right? If you want, for any reason, you want a playback, this is recorded. We could do a playback. But for us to give you remote access, so that if a child is sitting like this, one parent will call and say, why is that child sitting like this? And the caregivers cannot even do their work. So it is for that reason. So I can say to you, it is not because I have anything to hide, which is why we say you can walk in at any time. You can walk in at any time, and see the children. But it would also be in such a way that it's not disruptive to, the kids' activities, because they have planned activities, for the day. We also do weekend care. So during the weekend, we've seen also a surge in that service. Weekend, mom wants to go for an Owambe or just wants to put her feet up, or is working. So the creches are open. I mean, those require prior booking. And then we are so fixated. One of the documentation that we take is up-to-date immunization records. We don't even play, because we have a responsibility to, protect your child as much as, protect other kids too. So that immunization records, yes, we need those immunization records.
Okay, this is a question from you from one of our guests. Quick question for Itoro. In these days of increased insecurity, how do you vet your childminders and other staff to support the quality of your output, of your service? Yeah.
That's actually the biggest challenge we had. I was actually going to mention that. So, and I think I put up a post, recently, that spoke to that. That's an awesome question, and I think every parent should be concerned about that. In an environment where we don't have any social security system, we don't have criminal records. Okay, perhaps they say we have criminal records. You could go into the police, or maybe a structured criminal record, right? System. There are no real background checks, no platform to do it. So we do our own background checks ourselves, right? I understand that agencies now that do those. We've tried a couple. They were not doing anything differently from what it's strenuous, but it is worth it. So we have a lot of referrals. We do not use agencies, right? We also have people who just apply, right? So one of the things that we do not do as part of our background check process, you see that thing that people put on their CV and say, how do they describe it again? Referees on request.
On
No,
request, yeah.
no. I want to see your referees. And then we call the referees because we found out that some of those referees don't even know they are used as referees.
Okay. Okay,
So
that's
you may even
wild.
have people using your name. You may have people using your name and you don't even know.
Wow.
So because and it's when something goes wrong that you know that somebody used you as a referee. Okay, so yes, we try to recruit people who we have vetted, to a large extent. Because I always say, how do we know that we are not recruiting pedophiles? It's not on your face.
Absolutely.
So these are checks that we are constantly doing. So when we realize that we've made a recruitment error, we delete it. So we also have, this form that profiles you. But you see that even that is not foolproof, right? So we check out, where you're coming from. We know where you live, people who referred you, um, and then we put you on a probation, a period of probation, right? So yes, so those are the things that we do, for now, and then we used to have this. There was this app that was designed by a gentleman where it was a database where parents were to put in their domestic staff, and even nursery schools and people who work with children, families, right? And then you were supposed to take their fingerprint, because of course no two fingerprints are the same. So what happens is, if somebody comes to work for you, you ask the person to put their fingerprints, right? And then we discovered that the person who came and said she was Catherine, told you she was Catherine, once you put her fingerprint, her details just come, and then you see Busola. So
Catherine is an
Catherine,
English name now.
Catherine said the last place she worked was Kaduna. When her details come, you see that the last place she worked was Calabar. Conversation over. That is a fraud. But it was such an awesome platform. I mean, and what I said to moms was, we should do this for ourselves. Please, anybody who you're employing, put their data on these things. Let's build our own social security system, so that we can checkmate these people. But I don't know, the app just went. I don't know what happened.
I think what you're saying would be even relevant to people who provide let me say, what do you call it, housekeeping services, cleaners, people who go into each other.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so
Yes,
there is a
the
need.
domestic staff. Yes.
Domestic staff, there's so many
Yes.
of us who have people who just nurses, caregivers, so many people just stroll into your house day by day. You don't know who they are.
I wish somebody would take up that again. Yes, you don't know. You see, one of the biggest risks, it's an act of faith, I always say, for parents to entrust their children to total strangers. You don't know where that nanny is coming from. You don't even know what is happening in that creche. So you just choose to believe that you drop off your child in good health at the beginning of the day, and then you will come in, at the end of the day, and pick up that child. One of the things that we take for granted.
Have you ever had any horror stories?
Let me see the horror story I keep. Okay, I said the near horror story. So I'll give you 3 near horror stories. The first one was, I noticed from the CCTV that three care assistants were congregating, and I was saying to myself, why are these ladies chatting? Okay, so let me also mention that we run what we call the key person model, right? So we maintain an adult-child ratio. Okay, it also helps with the quality of care. So, and in line with global best practice. So, for the infants, it's 3 to 1, 3 kids to 1 adult. So, anything about your 3 kids, you're on top of. So you know that child. I dare say sometimes even better than their parents. For the toddlers, it's 4 to 5 to 1, right? So I noticed that these carers were talking, and so I picked up the phone, to call the intercom in that space, and I said, "What's happening here? The kids to take care of, and why are we chatting in the middle of work?" And then one of them came to my office with a bottle and says to me that they just noticed. So that's also the benefit of having a key person, right? Because that person is focused on that child. Does not mean that they're not responsible for children outside of their group, right? So she showed me a bottle. That bottle had coagulated milk. Apparently, the parents did not turn out the bag and brought the
Oh,
bottle.
okay.
Yes. So, because she knew her child, right? She looked at the bottle and it was strange. And then she also said that it was such a coincidence that it was the same level it was when he was sent home the day before. And she knew that this child does not take breast milk, because it sort of looked like breast. And then she said, but this is not breast milk. And by the time she unscrewed the bottle, the stench
Smell.
that hit her,
Hmm.
you see, and I called the parents, right? And she said to me that she was shaking on her desk. And I said, "You're shaking on your desk. If I had fed your child, you would slam me with a lawsuit."
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
So those are the kind of risks. There was another child that, not even another child, we've had that case where we had to take children to the hospital, right? So parents usually provide us, fill out what we call the medical authorization form. It authorizes, and then we have a nurse, we always have a medical person on the team, right? And then we also have a doctor on call, you know. So we had, and then that's the beauty also of the office creches. This happened in an office creche. All the children are registered in one hospital. So this child was warm to touch, and the fever was progressing, was almost borderline convulsion, fever. The child had been tepid spawn, given paracetamol, and were unable to reach the mom. We called the mom. She was not picking. She was probably in a meeting or something. So then we now said to parents, please put the creche on speed dial. Every call that comes from your creche, your child's creche or preschool should be priority call. Okay. So anyway, she didn't pick. So we had to take this child to the clinic. It was after that child had been attended to that the mom now showed up. So that's also one of the risks, that we carry. In fact, the doctor, said to us, I hope these parents know the value of what you
Okay, guys, we are back again, and we are actually practically at the end of our conversation, where we lost sound and vision for 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 a minute. But we've learned so much from Itoro, and I hope she'll be able to come back, and tell us. But I think from what she's told us, there's a lot to learn about having a premium brand and starting with the end in mind, knowing that this is what you want to do. So you really, oh yeah, she's back. Fantastic. I'll just wait for her to come. Start with the end in mind. Know what your goal is as much as possible, and then you'll know what you need to add. It's a welcome back. Both of us got tossed off. I hope you can hear me. Okay. Okay. So we
Okay,
have
I can see you now.
okay, yes, I can see you. We got tossed up. One day we are going to solve this connectivity problem. I tell you, we are going to solve this connectivity problem one day.
One of the pains of being in a third world country, someone said.
Yeah, I don't know if it's third world country, because sometimes I watch things and from abroad, and we get these fuzzy pictures, So I think it happens. It happens. It is what it is, and we'll forge ahead
Everywhere.
no matter what. Yes. You forge ahead. But it's all right. I will say that I think from what I get the sense from what you've said, that we have the makings of a masterclass, and I would like to put you on the spot here in front of everybody and say, would you agree to share your transferable knowledge, your transferable skills on a virtual masterclass sometime soon? Because there are many people who need to know, you know, the growing business community, as you say, probably is more heart, more passion than the discipline, and the focus. And it would be nice to know, how did you do it? We don't need to be brand specific, but there are learnings, there is wisdom, there's a lot of things that you can learn from other businesses. I have learned a lot just listening to you today. I've learned a whole lot, and I'm sure other people has. I have a comment here. Let me share it. It says that you provide a capsule service, which covers a wide variety of facets. I see. I don't know what capsule service means, but you you tell us what. Well, I think maybe that's like a niche service, but it's a very big niche, because babies are being born every day, and moms are going to work every day. Parents are going to work every day, and it can only get broader. It can only get broader. We weren't even able to get to the point where you are collaborating by sharing your knowledge, by telling people how to set up and creches and child minding services, and do it the right way. We haven't even gotten to the point where you talked about you helped train nannies, living nannies during the lockdown and stuff like that. So there is so much more. So please, 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 would you come back? And this time it will be a masterclass.
Oh yeah.
You are just talking to us. Yes.
Yeah, I would absolutely love to do that. And it's interesting that you mentioned, sharing transferable knowledge, because I do that. I started to do that on different platforms. And there's another platform that we're planning to go on that will be very interesting. Okay, so I came up with a product called um, Pick My Brains. Ask all
Okay.
your
Yeah.
questions, and people have actually been signing up for that. Just ask all your questions, and I would. The reason why I even put it as um, ask your questions is I already have a structure that I would put you through, but I have found that even when people ask those questions, it leads me back to that, structure, right? But it's important for them to be able to express, the challenges and the struggles that they have, you know. So yes, I have that platform, and that package includes an a period of internship in one of our facilities, because I think it's important for you to have that experience, that hands-on work experience for even if it's one day, right? And the very interesting one that we're going onto is so we've collaborated with an childcare institute in the US called the Childcare Lounge. Now they have over 50 something, courses, right? Over 50 courses in core childcare areas, right? Nutrition, play, early education, and it's content that articulates, global best practice, right? So what we've done is, to have to provide those courses, and the courses come with certificates. I mean, Nigerians love certificates,
Oh, we
so it's a
do.
good thing. Yes. So it comes with certificates, and they're very well priced. Okay, so what we've done with that is to say, yes, this is Oyibo knowledge, but we have also curated it in such a way that it will be relevant to our local, our
You've
own
domiciled it.
reality.
Yeah. Fantastic.
Absolutely, yes. So, global appeal, global content, local relevance. Okay, so when you have gone through those courses, you can ask questions. There are assessments to take. So, what we are also, planning to do with those courses is to also, tied into one of the SDGs, right? And to say this, we're calling on NGOs, right, and foundations who are vested or focused in girl empowerment, financial independence for women,
Mm-hmm.
right? This is an avenue to equip these women with skills,
Absolutely.
you know.
Yeah.
Um, yes, they take these courses, they work with us, right? And it also affords them, so there would also be employment opportunities that they can explore. I can't tell you how many there are, so many. So I will just give you a typical example. So I have, parents. I have a particular mom right now whose baby just turned 4 months, 4 weeks, right? She said she doesn't
Always.
want a nanny. She wanted she wanted the InHome child minding service. Okay. So we don't have, enough human resources to take on that. Right? I have referred her to, nanny agencies, but she's still coming back to us. So if we have a pool, again, what that initiative would do is, we would create a pool. So, and
Good
then,
pipeline.
have people who we
Robust
can,
pipeline. Yeah.
absolutely, so we are going into the season. There'll be a lot of, jobs. Even if you don't want a permanent job, you could have, work as a temp. You work for 2 days or 3 days, So I keep saying that it's not because there is no work. I'm not sure people are ready to work. I'm not sure people are ready to work.
I think we are all redefining work. We're all redefining work. But I need to cut off now. We've gone 15 minutes past our time, and it just seems like we just started talking because there is so much, and this is so interesting. And
Time flies so quickly.
it does, and I think I want to reiterate to everybody who is listening live and to those who will listen later that this is a very well made in Nigeria series, and we are very intentional and deliberate about who we invite as guests because we're looking at people who they may not have reached where they're going, but they are very determined that they are not going to manage things. They're going to think things through and work the process, take it step by step, and innovate, offer the value as it go along. And this value we offer, it changes from time to time because you have to keep an eye on your audience and what you offer. This has been great fun talking to you. Really, really, how do I call it? For me, very informative. There's so many things I didn't know about childcare. You know, well, obviously, I've told you to come take my teenager. I'm sorry to come take my teenager. We need teenage care as well. Just return her when she's 20. Return her when she's 20. You know. But thank you very much. This has just shown us that there are many people like you who are focused on doing the right thing in Nigeria, and that we did make a right decision in focusing on that, and we will continue to focus on what your goals are. We know you build the brand, and you can tell all of that during the masterclass, which I'm going to nail down with you shortly after this. Guys, it's going to be a paid masterclass, so if you're interested, she needs money, I need money, you all need money. you know you know we all need to do well. We all need to do better. So thank you very much to all those who joined us live. Thank you for those who will come and watch the replay. We look forward to your comments, and if you do want the masterclass, please just drop us a note on Julia Jack Consulting Facebook or Instagram. And to my guest, my little sister and my friend, Itoro Ugorji, thank you so much. Thank you for your persistence. I know when you were carrying this plan around like a baby and saying, I want to do a creche. And I said, okay, go and make money first. I want to have a creche. I want to have this. And you showed me all the plans. I remember very clearly. I have not forgotten. And thank you. Congratulations for sticking to your vision and making it bigger than you even imagined. Thank you for talking to us today.
Thank you so much for having me here. So really, really appreciate it. I don't take it for granted at all. Thank you.
Thank you. I will see you soon.
Okay, bye. Okay.